Good to see everybody. Midweek. How about that? Good work today out on the grass. Focusing on us here is, during the course of this bye week and trying to improve in the areas that we need to. And there's a lot of ways that we can in all three phases of the game. So, big week for us to continue to get better. You've heard me say it. Good teams continue to get better throughout the course of the year. And, on the back end of the week, a lot of our staff will be on the road recruiting. So, open it up. Looks like we got a bunch of people that are taking a bye week this week.
You mentioned working on yourself. What are some of the areas that you'd like to see improvement this week?
Communication, in two of the phases for sure. Alignment, assignment, and technique from there. Everybody's got to be tied in together, and there's a lot of good things that we've done here in the early part of the year that we did last Saturday, but there's certainly some areas we got to get better at as well.
Does how you approach the bye week change at all with having two this year and having one so early compared to previous seasons?
It's different. It's been a long time since I've had two during the course of the year. Early part of it, certainly need to continue to improve fundamentals, technique. As you get to the second one, I'll probably look a little bit more at, the health of your roster and being intentional on making sure that you're ready for that last run.
You still anticipate getting Hurd and Campbell back for Arkansas, and when you look back at Larry Johnson and Dane, what did they look like on tape?
There's a lot of good things that both of those guys did. There's some things that we can be cleaner in. Some of that is communication that gets to them. Some of it is them. Structural change that we saw during the course of the football game too. Those guys being a little bit better adjusting at it. All in all, a lot of really good things helped us get a win. So, got to continue to improve. That's them and all of us. Yeah, I feel like we'll have both of those guys when we get to Fayetteville.
Can you just talk about how impressed you are by the play of Ricky Gibson, Jermod McCoy at the corner spot? It feels like those guys are playing really good football right now.
Those guys have played really good football. They played really well the other night. Jalen McMurray's played really well. We got some young guys that continue to come along. Just the type of football that they've played here in the early part of the year has been a huge part of us continuing to push forward and the way that our defense has played in the early part of the year and at the same time it's all three levels of the defense playing together too. But those guys have been phenomenal.
Coach, you have a guy like Jason Jenkins who is sort of worked and bided his time to get his opportunity. I don't think he played a whole lot Saturday night, but made a huge impact on the game. What can you say about his development in your program?
Yeah, it's just a guy that, you come in as a young player, you grow off the field. He's continued to just change his body, change his ability to move, bend, the fundamentals of the game. He's done an unbelievable job just continuing to invest every single day. And when you invest, it may not always be on your time, but you're going to cash it in at some point. And made a huge play in the football game last week. He played extremely well when he was out there. We have great confidence in him.
This is certainly a bye-week question, but just what was your experience like on Sunday night at the concert? And do you feel like, being able to put your brand in the spotlight in a different kind of way, just what sort of advantageous ways do you see that?
Yeah, there's very few nights during the season where you get a chance to do something like that. So it was a lot of fun. Obviously, a tremendous artist, right? But he was just so welcoming. When we got to the stadium and his family there, it was a really cool experience. It was a home game of a different kind to walk out to a full Neyland Stadium and no football on the field. It was a really cool environment. You can't beat seeing Peyton in his uniform, you know what I mean? And tried to get him to come back for one more. He said he's done. But it was a neat experience, and Nico and Brew having a chance to be a part of it. It was really, really neat.
Coach, you said a minute ago about Jason Jenkins investing. When did you kind of start to see that out of him? Has he always kind of done that, or just kind of would you start to see the turn to where he's at right now?
No, it's just been a continued process and journey for him. It's a guy that no matter what stage, he works every single day. You know exactly what you're going to get from him from the moment he walks up the stairs, goes to meetings, to what you see in the weight room, to what you get out on the practice field. Just a super consistent guy, and everybody's journey is a little bit different. Sometimes it happens fast, sometimes it doesn't. He's just continued to work and invest, and that's why he's playing the way that he does. It's a great lesson for a lot of young guys.
There were a couple of plays back-to-back with the fumbles. Then on the next play, it's Joshua Joseph that gets in on the fumble recovery at the 5-yard line. Yes.
Yeah.
What did that play tell you about the mentality of this defense to be able to stay locked in when you're pinned back at the 5?
The way the defense handled the sudden change from our offensive turnovers is as good as anywhere I've been. And I say that just the mentality, the look in their eyes, they took the field. And then obviously creating the turnovers, it was the difference in the football game early, for sure.
As a longtime play caller and now head coach, is there a different mentality when you don't have to outscore or don't feel like you have to necessarily outscore your opponent in every game? Does that change as a head coach from a management and long-term view of your team this year?
Well, I think every game, you've heard me say it, right? You play the same game 10 times on the same day. It unfolds differently. There's just so many variables within it. The way our defense played on Saturday and the way they've played early in the year, as an offense, you got to be ready to go find a way to be +1 no matter what happens. But then the game will form an identity during the course of the game. And certainly on Saturday night, the way our defense was playing, it formed an identity. And then it's about tying all three phases in together to make sure that you end up on the right side of the scoreboard.
Josh, you talked a little bit about Larry Johnson earlier. What did you guys see in him in junior college, and sort of how has he progressed in his 2 years here to where he's able to go play in that environment and hold his own?
Big, massive frame that had the ability to bend. Knew that he had to work on his body. I say we did. When he got here, he's one of the guys we recognized during the course of multiple summers. He's done an unbelievable job with strength, but also on the nutrition side of it. He's a guy that works extremely hard, growing to learn and understand the game. And, he's just continued to climb since he's gotten here. Really proud of how he's invested, how he's worked, and now having an opportunity to get some playing time.
Looking back at the Oklahoma game, do you like how the staff handled the receiving rotation? Would you like to get more guys in, some guys on the field longer? Perfect how it is.
Talking about the wide receiver position?
Yeah, the rotation.
Well, the game, we planned on using some 12 personnel, and as the game went on, we got into more of it. So, again, it's all a part of how the game, the identity gets formed during the course of the football game. And you have a plan going into it, but then you also got to be able to adjust during the course of it.
You mentioned the game ball would go in your office. I'm wondering if you've found a spot for it yet.
Have not found a spot for it, but at some point she'll go up there.
Had a couple of late hit type things that were kind of maybe questionable calls. I'm going to get you into all that. But
Which ones are you talking about?
Like Arion, that type of thing. But my
Okay.
point is how do you
I don't want to get fined.
how do you coach? How do you continue to tell them that keep making that play, but also be cognizant that you got to be smart about it?
Yeah, we use teachable moments from across the country, college football, NFL football, every Monday during our team meeting when we're debriefing the game, but also how we can be smarter as a football team. We show some of the things that happen, while we're playing too, and you gotta play fast, you gotta play physical, you gotta be aggressive, but you gotta be on the right side of it, and in some ways you gotta understand how the game's going to be called. From an official's perspective, also understanding that they're human too.
Coach, obviously Arkansas coming up, but with the open date, will you have a chance to look in on Georgia, Alabama, with both of those teams also on the schedule this year?
I have not planned my Saturday yet with my kids, so at some point I'll sit down and watch some ball, and would assume I get a chance to watch a little bit of that one. Hopefully my daughter takes me out on the golf course and beats up on me.
Josh, what have you thought of how Elijah Simmons has played so far, and where has he progressed from last year?
Well, set the tone with the first play of the football game, just violent and destructive. He played that way all night long. Does a great job in the goal line situation, eating up 2 blockers and not getting moved off of the line of scrimmage. So he's playing extremely well. Our defensive line as an entire group is playing extremely hard, really physical and playing with great fundamentals. Elijah's a guy, like when we first got here, just his ability to bend has continued to improve, which makes him an even more powerful, functional football player. And he's a guy that, like a couple of the other guys that I talked about today, just exactly what you're getting, man. He's a really mature guy, and when he comes out on the practice field, he's ready to work.